place to promote the growth of Tigres in English through analysis, discussions, interviews, and more. Welcome to the La U Times podcast. Hello. I think Arnoldo's muted. This is fun. Welcome everybody to La U Times. I'm trying to figure out why Arnoldo's mic just died. So excuse us as we go through some
it was fine a minute ago.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. But yeah, I mean y'all can, if you're watching on the stream.
It's because he's been gone for so long he forgot how to use it.
Yeah. We're all rusty tonight. I mean, I already let the audio loop again, so this is just a bad time. But I guess I'll fake host for now. We're back, everybody. This will probably be a brief one tonight, just because we kind of had to pull it together last second. But we're here. I'm Dennis over here in DFW. Alfred alongside me for now. In Houston, not in Houston right now, but in Nashville currently. And hopefully Arnoldo will join us.
I'm working and I'm also celebrating my birthday, 37 years old today.
Yes, sir. Happy birthday to you, my friend.
Thank you.
37 years young. Don't say old. 37 is not old.
Right, yeah. I'm going to have to start changing that.
Yeah. All right. Are you alive now?
It looks like it. Now I got to get my birthday.
All right.
Oh, now no camera.
Yeah. The podcast people won't know any different. So this is fine.
This is great. It's good to be back, though. Thanks for holding it down.
Oh, man. Yeah, take over.
We kind of didn't. It was almost like QB2. He didn't want to come out to play while you were gone.
Who? Dennis?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, I mean, you were gone vacationing wherever you were, and
dude,
you didn't have a pot.
I wish it was vacationing. I wish I really, truly would. Wish that it was vacation, but it's good to be back. It's good to be back when the Tigres are in good form.
Maybe that's why you didn't want to come back. You didn't want to talk about that.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about the bad juju.
I just didn't want to jinx the team. I wanted to let it. No expectations, bro. That's been the theme for this year's in this season. No expectations. Just ride the wave and ride the roller coaster of emotions that is Tigres, both on the men's and now on the women's side, as we are looking to fight back and get in contention once again.
Hey, I'm just glad we're talking soccer because to me, I think soccer is the only sport in the world that exists right now. Well, and I guess hockey too. Basketball, that's not a thing anymore.
You're vetoing the NBA because of the Luka trade?
That's what it sounds like.
For the most part. Also, the All-Star game last night was just awful. So that doesn't help either.
Hey guys, the pickleball slam was good. Maybe you should get into pickleball.
Oh, I love pickleball, but I don't watch it on TV. I love to play it.
Anyways, fellas, where do you guys want to start tonight? Clásico Regio on the femenil side, or Tigres Cruz Azul? And even taking it back on, some of the previous games, just mentioning the form of the team.
Let's kick it with Clásico Regio, just to get that out of the way, and just congratulate the girls on an excellent showing, man. I was stoked with that win.
Bro, where was that play whenever I was at the final and we were up, 3 goals, and then we ended up not winning that?
You mean with Mila?
Yes, with Mila. But they look good. I mean, you definitely see the improvement on the field. I think that there's an idea at least being played around with in terms on the coaching aspect. I think that, the whole starting Farmer in the back is
Farmer, bro. She's been, oh My
Dude,
God, what a
she
player!
looks like she's been playing with the squad for such a while now. Was able to add now Cristina Ferral as an option at right back, which she has the touch to move to play out of the back and set people up, and she's done it in the past, playing out of the center back position. But now she's in that right back role, and I think that still gives a lot of different things or looks for Tigres Femenil to take on attacking build-up. So great move there. I think that that's definitely something that the coach has found a way to still get more out of Ferral, and also adding Farmer. Ideally, who knows? I really thought at the beginning with her watching her play that she would probably do really well in a role with Mari Carmen Reyes in the middle. So that might be a future thing, and maybe adjusting to the needs of the squad now, and how to get in the best position to play. And I think it's showing. So, and this Clásico Regio Femenil is, I think, a really excellent example of the accumulation of good success that he's had with previous results, and now implementing it with some good play on the field. So, thoughts on Pedro Losa, Alfred, and new things that you've seen from Tigres Femenil?
Well, we can't, just celebrate just yet. Obviously, it's still early. There's been a couple of regular games and a couple of really good games. So we've seen both sides, but it does seem like the team is well worked. That's something that's different. I do feel like they're transitioning a lot better. I feel like there's a better connection between the back line, the midfield, and the attackers. It's just it's starting to look more like what Tigres Femenil used to look like. Okay, whereas with Mila, it was just we were just playing the long ball. We were just playing the Jackie Valle is somewhere out there. She can do something. Demby can do something up there. It just seemed that way, and now we're starting to see a lot of the build up play that was characteristic of this team that won a lot of titles.
Yeah, improvement of play and new, almost seems like culture change. Also, I think there's a different aura around the players as well, and what they're doing also on the field. Dennis, I want to dive into what you've seen strategy wise and different outlooks of what you've seen out of Tigres Femenil from previous seasons to now with this coaching, and the second wind that Stephanie Mayor is catching playing as a center defensive mid, which is also something to attribute to Pedro Losa and implementing with his new play.
Well, I'll say this off the top. I feel kind of useless tonight because I didn't get to watch either of these games live because I was out of town over the weekend. But I have caught highlights, so hopefully I feel somewhat informed. Um, excuse me, I have a bad cough too. It just feels like football again. Like it feels like there's ideas, there's structure, there's build up play, which like we weren't asking for a ton, right? Like Mila basically you just said it really well. Alfred just kind of destroyed a lot of that and just made us try to play like Real Madrid, where like you're just relying on individual brilliance and hoping that that gets you through. Pedro's come in and we're actually playing like a team again, and that really helps. Um, I've been really impressed with Farmer, like you guys have. That's a testament to our scouting too. I mean, something about getting these girls straight out of college, especially from California. I mean, Mari Carmen is another great example of that from her time at UCLA, and just
Anika.
and Anika too. Yeah, even though she was in the Netherlands for a little bit before she came here, just spot on, right? And just to see their college play translate into a professional league so seamlessly in all three of their cases, and currently right now with Aaliyah, it's been awesome. So kudos to her. Um, yeah, I mean, Mayor looked useless in the Mila era, especially towards the end of it. And now she's, kind of back to her old ways. He's made this trio of Ana Diaz and Mayor and Hermoso starting together work, which on paper is like, how in the heck is this going to work? But it has so far. So kudos to him. Uh, Great to see Jennifer on the score sheet, especially in a Clásico. Like that's super awesome.
What a
And
start.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, just super impressed with how they performed, especially with the way that the last time they were in that stadium ended, to come out and just be dominant again. I think that speaks a lot to the characters in the locker room, the mentality that uh, they've been like, you know, trying to find with Losa, the belief that they have again within themselves. I think that's a huge step in the right direction, and long may it continue, because that would be awesome. Also, shout out our boy Woodsy in the chat. Speaking of Brazil, um, we love you, our boy. Come join us sometime.
Yeah, it's always good to hear from him. Um, Looking back at, you mentioned how, going from the Mila era to now under Losa, there's again a new culture, a new inspiration to play, and Ovalle is still finding, no matter what the circumstance is, to still find a way to perform. Making sure that she's um, taking leadership and scoring goals, assisting people, pressuring. She's being that leader with her play, like she has accustomed to. And no matter the circumstance, whether it was during the Mila era and now with Losa, still being an important player, and Tembi as well having a really good season. So I think that things are looking up for the femenil, and currently they're in fifth place with 17 points. So they'll need to continue to be on a good streak in order to continue to rise in the standings. Anything else you guys want to add as far as Tigres Femenil?
Well, I mean, she obviously was. I think she was injured for the classic or whatever. But La Chata Hernandez. I mean, we haven't talked in the last few weeks, but uh, might this be her come out season? I mean, under Losa, she's been great. Uh, Very different, from what we saw of her in the Mila era. So it's good. I mean, obviously, we want all of our players to contribute to the success of the team.
Agreed. Agreed. Bringing it back now to the men's side. Paunovic finding some really good results. What do you guys think initially of that? Paunovic, how much influence does Paunovic have over these results or positive results that we've had over the last few games?
40%.
40. What 40% do you think that he has done to make sure that he leads us on or puts us on a path to victory? What has he done right in that
I'm gonna
capacity?
say that 30% has been, defensive structure. He's actually, been able to give us a consistent back line, and I do believe that whatever he's doing in the training grounds is working. As far as making sure that these guys are well coordinated, like they're working like a solid defense, and not just the back line, but just everyone, with pressure, the center defensive midfielders as well. um, I do feel like his work ethic is instilled into the players, and that definitely contributes to you know getting the results that we need. But and maybe a 10% is his selection of players, where he hasn't really gone wrong, or try to stick with players that aren't it. He's putting in our best players at the moment, right? So that's where I give him 40%. I do still think that there lacks creativity towards the top. I do still think that there is no structured play for creating opportunities. It's still a lot of just crosses into the box. It's still a lot of individualistic performances, and players dribbling their way up, and it's still a lot of just the players coming out and giving us great performances. So I still give most of the merit, 60%, to a few of the very talented players that we have that are keeping us afloat.
Okay. Dennis, anything, any higher percentage that you would like to add, or are we keeping it at 40? Is there something that you also think that Paunovic is doing great, or that has an influence on the positive results that we've gathered recently?
I think I'm settling at 40. My reasons for that are a little bit different in the sense that, and you kind of were leaning towards it, Alfred, but I'll kind of expand on it more. I think just the consistency in lineups this season, for the most part, I think has really helped because last season it was just a big shuffle fest for the most part, and there is still some of that naturally, because Guido's had some knocks here and
Because of
there.
injuries or suspensions. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're trying to figure out this back line even still a little bit. I mean, Angulo, was dealing with, you know, the loss of his baby at the start of the season. So that gave Garza the opportunity to come in. And now, how do you plug in Angulo? Do you plug him back in at left back? Do you plug him in as a center back? So where does that leave Guido? Because you don't want to leave out Joaquim. There's still some questions there, but there has been a little bit more consistency in the last few games. Um, I would say a lot of our success this season so far has been Joaquim, uh, Linez, which the scholarship, the bank just keeps growing, on his part. Um,
Bro, at this point, he opened up a business credit line in Monterrey.
for real. Chewy, just once again incredible. Um, I know Nahuel has had already a couple of moments this season, but honestly, he has been really solid, for the most part. And then now we're starting to see it. It took a little bit, but now we're starting to see Romulo, um, really step into form and kind of make his presence known, in that midfield. If we can stop playing him so high, which that's not what we brought him in to do. We didn't play him to be as another number 8. He's supposed to be number 6, but I digress. It's a lot more on the players for sure, but I do appreciate that there is some consistency, um, in lineups more so than last season. Although that does mean that the youth minutes problem is already really bad, and we only got 10 more games left in this season before it's over, and we only have 95 minutes. So,
It's looking like a worse scenario than last year.
much worse scenario than last year.
Because last year we at least had the chance to like triple the youth minutes with Chicha Sanchez, whatever minutes he came in, and then it got us a good bump, of the goal. But this year that ain't happening, and we're still like 900 minutes away or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest area of opportunity for Paunovic, and I think 40% is a solid rating of approval, and influence on these matches, because I think the areas of opportunities outweigh drastically the areas of, like, he's done well and being consistent with the lineups. I think that the initiative to start Angulo does a couple of things. It gives you a short term solution as well as a midterm solution in terms of the planning and structure of this squad. I think he catches a second wind and ultimately establishes himself as another option defensively to plug himself at center back and also allow a good player in form that Chuy Garza has been. And he has been incredible. I was always the believer that, yes, he needed to start, carrying back into the previous 2 seasons, but I write back and I was willing to shift Aquino at the left back just because he's already been exposed to that position. But seeing them now, I think that it's the best thing that could have happened for Chuy Garza to step in at that left back position, because he is so good on the ball. He's a smart player. He knows when he picks his battles in terms of like pushing up and dragging back defensively. He knows how to tuck in and like create play with the midfielders. He knows how to take it out wide and has good ball ability on both legs. And on being on the left side, you tend to shade more to play interior wise, which has really done well for him at this left back position. So I think that's highlights a really good Paunovic point where he took that initiative to play Angulo, because again, it gives you the short-term solution to play for injuries like Pizarro had, or the midterm solution as you begin to move into this shift of, soon to be foreign new players are going to be coming in as, Carioca retires, as Pizarro potentially retires, as Andre Pierre Gignac potentially retires, and anybody else that could potentially move, right? So there's always now room for improvement. So that for me was a key in the consistency of lineup, is finding that aspect for him. But on the contrary, the big area of opportunity is how he's managing the substitutions, right? Like we complained about last season how he did so predictable subs, and now he's missing chances of actually making subs where they can be of influence in the match. In this match that we played against Cruz Azul, it was one of the best games under his tenure, and I think that he didn't he didn't squeeze enough juice out of the fruit in order to make his team even be more confident with what they had been doing with achieving positive results. So I think, managing that aspect, and, that was a good chance for maybe plugging in a midfielder like Parra to get some minutes and also give us that depth defensively after going a man down. So I think big area of opportunity. And as he progresses, I think with consuming positive results, it might be easier for him to adjust and start believing in what he's doing with the squad, even though it's still highly attributed to individual performances by the players.
And you got to maybe you give him credit, or maybe somebody else told him to do this, but the switch of having Garza play at left back and be basically the starter there now, you addressed a depth problem without having to go get somebody,
Yes.
which is a huge deal to me, because
it landed on his lap, like Arnoldo said.
Yeah.
If it wasn't because of Angulo's personal situation, I don't think he would have figured that.
Yeah. But now it's like, why would you ever go back? Because now you don't have to rely on Diego Reyes for really much of anything important.
Exactly.
And now you have greater midfield depth by default too, because if you want to play Angulo and Joaquim in that central in the center back spots, okay, then Guido could come in and potentially be partnering one of the guys in the midfield, and that way Carioca doesn't have to burn all of his legs either, right? So like now you have a lot more options that I think all of us have been crying for.
We were proposing these things since not last season, since the previous season.
Since Siboldi, bro.
Yeah, since the Siboldi era, when Siboldi's defense started struggling, we were proposing some of these changes, and then Pauno came in, and it seemed like he could never figure it out.
We added depth without having to add too many players, and we added one player, right? One player during the offseason, and we added depth by including Trigarza, moving Angulo to center back, and adding now Guido to intermingle in between the defensive mid. And
what do you mean one player, bro? We also brought Fulgencio.
Oh, he came back from loan. My bad. Which
guy?
He's getting minutes, so he sees something in him. Not saying that I'm praising him or looking for him to be an option or the answer for that position, but Fulgencio, getting some, more minutes than Antuna, which is not very difficult at the moment, but getting more minutes,
very deserved.
He's getting included in the rotation, but nonetheless, I think the big area of opportunity is there. But again, these changes that he's made are allowing. It's like he unlocked another door to how to run Tigres, just because of what's going to be soon to happen of these players retiring. And now, Carioca doesn't seem like he's getting a ton of minutes, but now you added Pizarro to that midfielder spot, along with the youngster Parra. So there's now a big overload of players now, with Romulo also being the starter now, which we still have to figure out how can this player. I'm not going to mention that comment, dude. Goat mention. No, Fulgencio is not the goat, Woodsy. Woodsy has an infatuation with Fulgencio, and Fulgencio does not need to be at Tigres, and he's just an option at the moment because Antuna is terrible.
You said you're not going to mention it, and then you proceed to mention it. Very funny.
It's like you guys were pushing for it. No, definitely not. Fulgencio cannot be acknowledged as any GOAT ever associated with Tigres history. We want to keep that clear. We want to keep that clear. Back to what I was saying, though. Ultimately, just adds depth, and now moving forward, there's a higher confidence in this transition of what could be, the new generation or true generational change of players. Because I think that Angulo extended, even though he's already a young player, he extended, I think, some time at Tigres. Like you guys mentioned, you get the flexibility of not having to use Diego Reyes. Osvaldo Rodriguez didn't pan out as a good option, so now you can see if you can move him. I'm sure he's got market at another team. Diego Reyes will have some market as well, so you have an option. Purata, these guys, Tercero, and actually bring guys who are going to contribute to what you want to establish on the field. And I think that that's the path that he needs to get on in order to make a career at Tigres. Because again, maybe the shifting of like, he doesn't seem like he has control of the locker room, or he may not believe that he has total control of the locker room. So he's got to do certain things or not do certain things in this case with the substitution that he tiptoes around things. So I think that, again, unlocking this gives us that depth and that short-term flexibility to move forward and actually structure the team and the capacity that it needs to be structured to the play style, as well as the transitional and generational change to continue to fight for championships.
Do we think that that was our best performance of the season so far, the Cruz Azul game?
It's hard to say, man. I think that going a man down really takes a bit away from what we truly did. I do would like to acknowledge and praise the fact that even though going a man down, it took a while for Cruz Azul to actually create danger on our side. And I think that's attributed to the defense. And I made a mention of it that night of the game. The defense was spectacular to the end. And I think yeah, we just had a really good game defensively and until the end. And I think that was expected, a man down, defending most of the time. But I think Tigres also had a couple counter chances and some creations that could have been a positive result or extend the lead there. But nonetheless, Tigres was able to play well defensively and, try to hold on to that result as much as possible. And I was rooting for that, man. Nahuel Guzman, any game that he gets a chance to have a shutout is another game extension of his record of being the goalkeeper with the most shutouts in Liga MX history. So I'm always going to be rooting for that. And I think at the end, it was a combination of tiredness and also bad substitutions. Again, I think that we didn't take advantage of that. It was a good game to go three in the back and really counter and really get the personnel in there. You talked about it, Alfred. It was probably a good game for Antuna to counter, with zero expectations, right?
Before Nico got red carded.
Exactly. Before and I think after. I think that if you can bring Linus and Aquino or Linus and Garza to play wingbacks, and just like they did at the end, it took them so long to adjust to that. But I think also because they were defending so well, it was also not so highly needed. But I think that if you wanted to still compete and not have to park the bus the entire half when they weren't really like attacking you, I think you could have been conservative while also giving your team a chance to score and extend the lead. And I think that those substitutions didn't happen and they took longer than they needed to. And you saw Bruneta towards the end being a lot more tired. And I think that substitution should have became long ago for Cordova, to change the pace of the game. Even though Bruneta has been, our best player this season, I think you have to take at times to be a little bit more strategic in order to take advantage of situations when you have a lead like that.
To answer your question, Dennis, yes, I do believe this was the best game that we've seen from them, but I believe it comes from the best performances individually of a lot of players. Like we literally saw, maybe one of Gorriaran's best game. We literally saw one of Aquino's best game. Like it was unbelievable to see him still running and just dominant in his position up to the 98th minute. We saw one of the best performances out of Bruneta, out of Lainez. We saw a great performance out of Romulo. So it was just all these individual, really great performances that together combined, to I control Cruz Azul, because that's really what we did. We controlled them. And if it wasn't because, like Arnoldo said, that Pauno's substitutions were kind of late.
Yeah,
That
not until the 82nd minute.
yeah, I mean
That
if
needs to happen in the 70th.
yeah, or earlier. I mean,
Yeah.
if he would have made those changes earlier, then kept those legs fresh for a longer period. I don't even think that Cruz Azul would have scored on us, and we might have gotten a third one.
Yeah, you give yourself you go a 5-3-2. You give yourself a chance. You run Cordova and Antuna up top, and then you could extend Ociel in that tenure. Maybe don't be so rushed, but play Cordova and Ociel up top to counter, and then you have three midfielders with Nando. You had Romulo, and I think Parra would have been a good option. Even Bigon would have been a good option to bring earlier on. And I think he missed that opportunity to have a little bit more control of the game, like I've mentioned. So I think there's still lots of things to work on, but I do agree. I think it's more attributed to individual performance still. We're starting to see a better form of the team. I do think that the team's in better shape than it has been. I think that maybe they don't pressure as intense or high as they used to, but I think that the personnel that we're throwing out on the pitch allows us to be very flexible defensively to create offensively. Now we just have to continue to find that groove offensively to make sure that these individual performances start turning into cohesive team performances where the team is dominating possession and doing well, transitioning quickly to offense.
Hold on. Ha ha! This comment.
Live from a prison, so come on, bro. Like this is a hotel room, bro.
That's wild. That's a wild comment right there.
That's amazing. Okay, speaking of the front line, let's talk about that because there are some good things going on there between Bru and Lainez and Ociel. Ociel's had two back-to-back very strong games, I feel, or appearances. Is that the front three going forward, or are we ready to say that?
Yeah, I think that's the starting. That's the starting attack. Uh, Minus Nico.
Based on
Yeah,
obviously we pushed and we wanted um, for it to be Cordova, but based on what we've seen out of Cordova this season, and inversely what we've seen out of Ociel this season, yeah, Ociel has definitely earned his spot. Can you bring it back up? I didn't read it.
Sorry.
Oh my god.
yeah.
Bro's out here recording from solitary confinement.
It's tough, man. Again, I called it earlier in the season. Multiple people did and agreed with it. It was his season to shine. I think that if he was gonna step in, whether and go and picking up off from last season, playing that a wing position or being an option as a second attacking mid, I think that window not completely gone. I think that he can still find ways to help us, and for our sake, and in terms of aspirations to win something, I think that we need him, right, to be a key player off the bench. But I think his time, being the starter at Tigres has completely slipped. I don't think that he loses a role quite yet or contribution to the squad, but I think his starting nod, solidifying himself as a player at Tigres has completely gone. I think he's a player that, even though it's early on in the season, whatever the outcome is of this season, I think it's a player that it would be a solid move to take advantage of his market and his Mexican passport aspect of being able to play and not count, and in a position at another squad where he can have a little bit more of a prominent role. I think it's time. I think his peak has hit.
Bargaining chip.
A good bargaining chip. Exactly.
Threeger, I was waiting for you. Ozzy's still.
Rieger.
Ozzy's
Ozzy's still a super sub to
Nope.
me.
Nope.
He
Disagree.
would if you had somebody who would be a super starter in his position, but
Yeah.
Yep.
at this
Exactly.
moment you don't have anybody who would be better than Ociel to have at that starting position.
Yep. No,
And you
thank
know
you.
what I like about him is he's willing to shoot, and
Yes, thank
obviously
you.
giving us, and that's always been a trait of his. He's always been willing to
He's a
shoot.
dual threat.
Yeah, and so I think that he's not spectacular. I don't. And this is the next question I was going to pose about who's been the top five players in the season so far. I think without a doubt Brunetta is number one. I think number two is Joaquin without a doubt, and I think 3 to 5 gets a little interesting depending on your likings. So I want to open up to that because I think it goes hand in hand with talking about what Ociel brings to the table and where we are with the depth and again the lineup changes of and finally being able to define in what we may call our starting wingers now in Ociel and Linus.
I
So
I don't think it's that complicated. I think in
okay,
no order it's Gorriaran,
okay.
Garza, and Linus. I mean, has Gorriaran put in a bad game this season? No. Has Chewy put in a bad game this season? No. And we've already talked about Linus and his scholarship fund. So to me, that's it. Those are the five. No question.
Okay. Solid. Okay. Alfred, what do you think?
It's tough for me because I do believe that Ociel um, has played an important role, both coming in as a sub and as a starter. It feels like he just works silently. Like he doesn't create this big impact, but his presence on the field is felt. It's sort of like with Guignac, where somebody's always on him because they know that they see him as a threat. So I do believe that Ociel has had an important role. I also believe that um, Aquino. I mean, I haven't seen a bad game from Aquino either. So it's just collectively, obviously, we're getting better. We're getting to where we need to. But it's just been all around great individual performances from many of these players. If I had to go with the top five, Bruneta, Joaquin, Lainez, Ociel, and Gorriaran.
See, and I also
Not in
think
that order specifically.
and I think that those are all solid names, and I think that would probably be the fair assessment of if you were to ask any Tigres fans. I think that those players individually have stepped up to the plate to be that player that we need them to be in this moment and what we got going on with results. I also think Nahuel Guzman also is in the mix there.
Yeah.
He's had a good key saves to make sure that we retain points and not give up any in several matches and still being a leader on the field. Sort of picked up a different vibe. I think he was a little bit out of sync last season coming back from the suspension. I think he had some good moments, but more bad moments than good moments. And so now I think that there's more of a serious approach, maybe understanding that this could be his last season. There's talks about and rumors have happened that or been spread that he already hasn't agreed or has agreed to an extension. And so it hasn't officially came out, and I'm sure it's still a rumor, but I think that's also up in the air. So I think there's a more serious approach on his behalf to take on the season. So I think he's someone else that could be thrown into that mix for top five positions. I think ultimately I do agree. Correran, Linus, and
Oh my
possibly, possibly, even Nahuel or Chuy Garza. I think that that's a toss up for me there. Aquino is also in the mix, like Alfred mentioned. So really good performances by some players, but ultimately, moving forward, right? We're heading in the right direction. It took us a while to find some starting consistency with our players. And again, it looks like we found our wingers in Ociel and Diego Lainez. And Diego Lainez is finally showing what he was supposed to be doing 2 years ago offensively.
Going back to what you mentioned about not having any expectations for the season. If we look at it that way, this has been a great season. I mean, this is a rebuild season for us, even though we only brought in one person. But this is technically a rebuild because we're talking about transitioning some of our legends out of the starting lineup. We're talking about, having these players that, have had these side roles now take these lead roles and kind of carry our team forward into the future. So this is a rebuild year, and it has not been bad. I mean, what are we in second place, third place?
Third
Third.
place. Yeah, I agree with you. I think the zero expectations help a ton. I do believe that, like you stated very well about the transition of these players, and so far we're getting glimpses of this generational change. There's an image of some of these players, and I mentioned it to you going back to the bargaining chip of Cordova, Alfred. This picture that I came across online, it had Linus, it had Romulo,
Garza,
it had what?
Garza,
Garza, who else?
Joaquin,
Joaquin,
Bruneta,
Osiel
and
Herrera,
Otero.
Bruneta. And I was like, that's the true generational change. That's the true backbone. You got your defensive mid, your center back, your attacking player, and two Mexican wingers and a left back or right back when you need them to. And I think that the only person that was probably missing in there, and I think that that's the wild card in the situation, is Jesus Angulo, right? Can he develop more as a center back to give us that, sustainability, whether it's as a really good backup option at the left back position or in a back line of three as a center back or as a starter in a four line center back. So I think he's a really good wild card. But, like I mentioned, the bargaining chip, Cordova, it made sense that he was not there because I think, like I mentioned, his peak has been reached and ultimately has gone to a place of it would be a good move if he were to bounce to another team.
He's plateaued.
I'm sorry, bro. Woodsy's comments are just on a different level tonight. Look at the
Real
end of it.
request. Yeah, I mean he's got a point. Like they have
No,
to.
that is true. He's onto something.
Yeah,
Obviously,
for sure.
a rebuild is not complete. In order for a rebuild to be complete, yes, some of these players that are just taking up spots, taking up positions, um, they need to go.
Yeah, yeah. You need a true generational change, and that also starts with bench players. It's
Yeah, I mean, I think we've only seen a general change in the starting lineup, but when it comes to depth, we're still a long ways to go for us to in that rebuild.
yeah, it's happening though. Slower than it should be, but it's happening. And I think that a lot of factors contribute to that, from the top of the leadership all the way to the player personnel.
Almost had a big bump in the road though with CONCACAF. Got lucky that we played really well that second game at home because that first leg, eef, not good.
Yeah, who are we predicted to play now?
Cincinnati.
It's either Cincinnati or Motagua. They start their series tomorrow or Wednesday, so we'll find out next week where we're
I
going.
think those are a tough game regardless.
Absolutely, especially and Cincinnati just signed a Vander from Portland, who scored a free kick golazo on us. If you remember when we were in Portland, I don't know though.
Yeah,
So
but they lost Lucho Acosta though.
yeah,
That's,
and
that's
he's
nice.
actually playing in Dallas, which is so weird. What a weird spot for him to end up at. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
Evander's really nice on the field. 100%. Arnaldo, you need a strong, reliable squad, especially in these congested Liga MX seasons. Yeah, this summer might be a big haul for new players. Totally agreed. I think that again, we're at a point where the zero expectations that Alfred mentioned is doing as well because we're getting positive results in a rebuild season, and we're still away a few months from actually getting 2 to 3 foreign players and hopefully very important players to our lineup.
Yeah, big game on Saturday now against the league leaders, Leon.
Yeah, James and company,
They've scored 11 goals in their last 5 games.
bro. He's so nice on the ball. Like he found the perfect spot to land and like extend his career and like get some, make some really good money and just coast. He's like on the ball. I don't know if there's any. I think Carioca on the ball might have been like he might have been dethroned.
Yeah, yeah, he's unbelievable.
I can't really talk about James because man, it makes me sad. You guys know because I've shared it on our group thread a couple of times, but I wanted James since before he made his jump to Europe, since before he had that World Cup, you know, come out party. Like I had spotted James playing in Colombia and South America, and I wanted him at Tigres. So it's such a shame that he finally came to Liga MX, but he didn't come to my team.
Dude, he would have been so nice to, maybe 3 seasons ago, right before Brunetta got here.
Oh, dude, he would have been great then.
Not that he wouldn't start over Brunetta, which I'm sure he would, but it's just more like to use both of them. I think that I don't know if you can run both of them at the same time. I don't know if any coach would be willing to run both at the same time.
Yeah, two number 10s who don't run.
Yeah, and
who don't track back. Yeah,
yeah.
But still, he's unbelievable. I don't know about their defense, but their attack is really.
But again, good test. Good
Yeah.
test for the team. Good test for Chuy Garza. It's his coming out party.
Yeah.
It's his coming out party. Chuy Garza has and is here to stay and has to find a way to continue to make himself to be important in the success of the team. Not just playing a role, and being a starter, but actually contributing with offensive production, whether that's through crosses and or shots. I think he's got a great shot as well to take advantage of the long distance, but he's got to find a factor with stats to contribute this season, so he finds that pivotal role for him as now a true starter for Tigres.
I agree.
So
next,
good test.
Yeah, next 6 games. León away, and then Tuesday we play at home against Juarez. And then next Saturday, and then Necaxa first.
Oh, Necaxa.
And then probably Tuesday, if I had to guess, the first leg of the next phase of Conca, and then the next.
I have the answer. It's on the 4th of March.
Yeah,
what is that?
It has to be. It's Tuesday, because we play Friday against Querétaro at home, and then you play
the schedule is already set. We just need to determine the team, but it's gonna be on the 4th.
Yeah, and then the second leg is.
So you said we have a game. Okay, so remind me one more time. So we have León. You said Juarez the following weekend.
No, Juarez is midweek.
Midweek. Then the following weekend is Necaxa.
Necaxa on the road. Juarez at home.
Juarez is at home. Yes.
Okay.
And then you travel to either Cincinnati or I don't know where's Motagua at? Where do they play?
Honduras or Guatemala?
Yeah. So.
One of the two. So Central America.
Yeah, you travel and then you come back to play home against Querétaro and then home leg of Conca, and then home against Santos. So you have 3 home games to start March.
How do you approach that with the Friday game?
All right. So first of all, León, it's got to be starters. It's got to be our best team out there. Then we have Juarez. This is one of Pauno's first and maybe most important opportunity to bring in Parra 90 minutes.
Yes.
Parra,
Juarez,
Tapia,
Querétaro, and Santos. Those are the games where Parra must play 90 minutes.
Yeah, agreed.
And at home.
Mm-hmm.
That's at home. 2 of those 3.
And then, obviously, considering, if we have Necaxa, yes, it's a league match. Yes, it's important. They're playing okay. But it's more important. Yeah, it's on the road. It's not at home. And it's more important to save your players for that game in Conca. I'm going to go straight out and say, yeah, we have no expectation for the team in the league, but we absolutely have an expectation in Conca. And the reason why we have an expectation in Conca is because the number one reason why we're not being able to bring in players is because we can't attract them, because we are not participating in the Club World Cup. The only reason why Rayados, why León, why Pachuca are bringing in players, and the only reason why they're coming to those teams is because they're in the Club World Cup. That's it. So in order for us to have a chance in this rebuild where our legends are going to leave and for us to try to get, again, really high quality players, is for us to participate in that Club World Cup. And so we must at least reach the final in Conca Champions.
Yeah, I think that's a fair expectation. I think you do have the talent level to get there. Winning it's a complete different story. I think, but I think you do have.
We do have a weird, or not a weird, but a difficult path, because I don't know if you guys have seen the whole bracket, but on one side is Rayados, on the other side is Chivas, America, Tigres. So like
All the
we,
Mexican teams are on
yeah,
one
so
side. Yeah.
literally we have to go through America to get to the final.
Yeah.
But I do think it gets us a better chance to get hardware though. So
Yep.
I do agree with that. So you would how would you go against that Necaxa game? You know, leading into that Concacaf, would you do it start starters or go into that bench?
I mean, a mix, but in the end, it's not as important.
Yeah. So you want starters in the first leg of the Concacaf.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can't go down
Mm-mm.
in that
Because
tournament.
remember in Conca, and obviously it did not affect us because we won 3-0 against Real Esteli. But if they would have scored one goal on us when we were up 2-0,
Yeah.
like, I mean,
Yeah,
the
it would
away
have.
goals matter.
Yep.
So we need to make sure that in that first leg, we get, if not the win, we at least get goals in away.
Agreed. Agreed, Woodsy. As somebody who lives close to Arlington, Texas, that could not be more true.
Yeah. I do think though that that's where the additions, as you may call it, of like Marcelo Flores working back himself into getting some minutes as well at that winger position. You're able to stretch some of the depth that you currently are setting up yourself with, and I
Yeah.
think again going back to that almost unlucky but or circumstance, I guess, of the Pizarro injury gave you the opportunity to add depth to the midfield as well and the back if you really wanted to. But ultimately, I think that an addition like Marcelo, potentially even Chicha Sanchez coming back, Andre Pierre Gignac is coming back. I think if we start getting healthy, I think we have a better way to mix in some of these games and really, go about it with, like you're saying, making the priority with the CONCACAF.
Shout out Gignac, by the way. He really was right about 10 days.
Yeah, and he was pissed off that he knew that the red card meant that he was not going to play.
Yeah.
Which I
Honestly,
don't mind that. I don't
yeah.
mind that at
Yeah.
all. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I
I'd
think
rather
that if we
save it.
pulled off the result, no matter what, we played well. I think for a good portion of the game, and
Mhm.
so all in all, positive things. And even for Panovic, like he again area of opportunity with the subs, but ultimately, Gignac not playing gives us another week of him not having that high pressure of having to play and possibly get
He'll
injured.
be ready for Leon,
Oh yeah, and it's a good match to be ready for.
Yeah.
and I'll put my money on it. He scores.
And
Oh, that'd be great.
so you probably starts, and then what? You start Nico Ibanez against Juarez midweek.
I mean, you could still play Guignac, but definitely Ibanez against Necaxa,
Yeah.
because Juarez midweek is at home, so it's the comeback party for Guignac at home.
Now, what Ibanez's red card, it was a straight red, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Well, he was given a yellow first, and then that was reviewed.
oh, okay, okay. But okay, so then
Straight
so
red.
it switched to a straight red. Okay, so he may
So
have more than one game. Yeah, it may
might
be
be
more
two
than
games.
one game
Yes,
to be
it might be
suspended. Yeah. So, I mean,
automatically Leon and Juarez. Yeah,
yeah,
I
exactly.
would start Guignac versus Leon and versus Juarez, and then bring him back. Bring Nico Ibanez back versus Necaxa.
I think I'll reserve my judgment. But if I really, 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 really had to push for it, I think obviously he starts against Leon, but maybe even like take the bench against Juarez and let Nico start there if he gets the game.
Bro.
This man's a true believer of Raimundo Fulgencio.
Ray full cross.
Is this
Yeah,
happening in the 88th minute?
we'll see though. I think that we're still
Uh,
long ways away before we get ahead of ourselves with where we're going to be on it in a couple of weeks. I think most important thing is getting through Leon, positive result. What are we thinking? We tying? We winning? We losing?
I think we take away Leon's unbeaten streak.
Whoa! Confidence through the
Yeah.
roof in Paunovic's team.
No confidence in my players.
Yikes.
Yeah, there it is.
I believe that against Cruz Azul, it was a huge, huge morale lift, and I think they believe in themselves right now. So it's a good momentum to continue that and carry on with another win. And with Guignac coming back, you'll see.
Okay. Dennis?
2-2.
Oof.
It'll be very entertaining. It'll be very entertaining.
You're
But
saying our defense has given up 6 goals so far
Mm-mm,
this season is going to give up 2 against Leon?
not happening.
unfortunately,
Now, what is won the championship there?
that's true. He needs to tap into those spirits again.
I'm leaning to a hard 1-1.
That's probably more realistic.
1-1 and
Guignac goal and James goal.
oof. Ideal stage. Ideal
Who
stage.
won?
Adding a last minute winner, I could see that. I think if we're able to manage, I mean, there's one thing I pointed out, whenever the last episode that I recorded and probably the previous time as well, or I can't even remember, but I've stated it since the beginning of the new year. Joaquin gives us a chance any set piece to score. If you get this man in a set piece position, that's why I really believe that the corner kicks have to be better prepared. I think you
I know.
have.
I'm gonna call you out. I'm gonna call you out, man.
What's that?
You said before your hiatus, you said that Joaquin was unlucky, that he was
Yeah, he
unlucky,
is. Yeah,
and he
I
couldn't
did.
score
That's
in
allowed.
the corners.
Yeah, that's allowed. But it's not that I didn't think he had the capacity for it. He definitely has the capacity. He just got every game he had an unlucky situation with himself in front of the goal. Whether that was hit by his circumstance or his choice, it could have also been the man's so athletic. Sometimes he jumped a little too high and didn't make a good connection on the ball.
Too
Or the
much power.
guy was hustling so much that he was falling off balance and he had to kick the ball when if he had the balance probably would have scored the goal. That's what I meant by unlucky situations. But I think that if you take advantage of the set pieces and especially the corner kicks, because that's what we typically get more than fouls like near the box, I think you open up yourself at least this guy should be scoring at least 4 to 5 goals every season, without a doubt. Without a doubt, this guy is dominant in the air. He's athletic. He finds a way to find himself in a position to score at least once or
He
twice.
looks for the ball. That's the thing. If you look at every single cross, not just offensively but defensively as well, like he's actively and proactively looking to find that ball in the air. Like he's not waiting for it like Nico Ibanez does. He's going and trying to find it.
You felt that shot in there.
Bro, I mean, I said it. I said that Joaquin was gonna have more goals than Nico Ibanez, and there it is.
Woo, wow. Statements are being made
2-0 on
once
that
again.
tally right now.
There we go. We're still waiting on Antunes. What was it? 4 assists that you said?
4 goals, 2 assists.
Bro,
Four goals, 2 assists. No, I think you.
No.
That would be worse for you.
No, I said 4 assists to Diego Lainez, 2 assists.
no.
Yeah, I think you said that he would have more
Yeah.
assists. Yeah, no.
I don't
Yeah,
even know if Antuna would get an assist in FIFA, much less in real life at this point.
That's looking like a long gone bet.
Hey, look at this comment real quick. I really agree with Woodsy on this. I think this will be a big key to the game, is how Romulo and Goriaran, play. And how
You
they try
mentioned
to
it, Dennis.
neutralize
Yeah, but
it.
Romulo being at the destructor, like I
Bro.
think he
Bro,
can
some of the
destroy it.
tackles he put in on Saturday, bro.
I think his biggest, again, area of opportunity, and Alfred and I were talking a little bit right before we started recording. I think he's going to find himself in a way that Guido Pizarro first found himself. Guido came in as a player who, the opposite side of the coin, he was more of an offensive player, more of a center mid, pushing higher. And then Tuca Ferretti made him into a true defensive mid. I think here you have the opposite with this Romulo. I think he comes in as being a really good, solid defensive midfielder, but still the development aspect of getting to a place of building offensively and having offensive creation. And with Nando, so far this season, when they've been together on the field, Nando has been the guy that's going deep, which I don't mind that. I think for the time being, or where Romulo is in his player development, I think Nando is probably the player that best suits you to come out of the back and try to jump lines as well as, establish in possession. And I think Romulo being a higher up will give him a chance to also develop instincts and passing skills to be more of a creator when he's higher up. He's just disrupting higher up the field as opposed to like the middle of the field where you normally find yourself when you play that position. So I think he's got a lot of development going on. Yep. And I think he's at the perfect place to learn from Guido Pizarro, Rafael Carioca in these last few months from both. Obviously you have Nando in there also now in the mix and really good, player development in that sense.
Absolutely. And he has an engine that just like never stops. Like it never seems like, at least for now, never seems like he's tired, which I'm sure is music to Profe Ortega's ears.
Yeah. Shout out to him. I think that's also another factor.
Yeah.
I think they've been in good form, good shape.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's probably a record for me in a while. An hour-long podcast. Not sure if you guys have any from the vault moments or things that you want to dive
There actually has been a few that I've saved.
Okay.
You go for it because I want to talk about Leagues Cup and the friendly after you're done with this.
My bad.
Discuss that.
Okay, well, whichever you want to do that first.
No. Let's go from the vault. We can get to
okay.
Yeah, from the vault.
So 20 years ago, was the first game of Tigres in a Libertadores. It was February 15th of 2005 against Alianza Lima, which back then was the reigning champs of Libertadores. We came out with a 0-0 from Peru, but it was our first Libertadores game, which of course, we
Bro,
did.
Give me the lineup in that match.
I don't have the lineup, but obviously, if you recall, it was back in the Gaitán, Ireneo Suarez, Cookie Silvera days. So, I mean, it was what a team we had back then, man.
We played them. Oh, we also played them in 2020. Oh no, that's Alianza. No, Alianza Lima. It's February 15, 2005. Lineups. Yeah. I want to read this lineup. Gustavo Campagnolo, Gabriel Briseño, Javier Saavedra, Claudio Suarez, Walter Gaitán, Claudio Hussain, who was subbed off for Eduardo Regis, Hugo Sanchez, Antonio Sancho, Ireneo Suarez, who was subbed off for Sixto Peralta, Mario Ruiz, Andres Silvera, and Claudio Núñez was subbed in for Cookie.
That's when Claudio Núñez was given number 7.
Number 7, the retired number. Yo, just looking at this squad, this is a good, decent squad. I think that it was just not structured correctly. You have Saavedra and Mario Ruiz who play the same position.
Yeah.
Bro, you call me old, bro? Come on, man. Don't do that to me. I'm transitioning in my mid-30s, man. And like, don't rule me out like that.
Like Dennis told me earlier, I'm 37 years young.
Exactly. Yo, good from the vault moment. So that was the first time the number 7 was used out of retirement. Yes. Patrulla Barbadillo's number, which I really do like the idea of retired numbers, but there's got to be like some sort of like, I don't know, like maybe
limit? A limit, time limit.
Yeah, like a time. Like I feel like it should retire after a certain time, and I feel like it got retired too early. And I'm not saying like the decision was incorrect, but I think ultimately that number could have been worn by other important players in our squad history, and would have been just as meaningful, to have it retired, for multiple players, or do just the Patrulla Barbadillos time.
Yeah.
So first time, the second time was given to Walter Gaitán the following Copa Libertadores, which was the following year in 2006. The mustard yellows jerseys.
Ooh.
Yeah. What else you got from the vault? You got any? That was a good one, Alfred. Shout out to
All
you.
right,
We're gonna start
another
calling
one.
you the historian of the Old Times podcast.
No, shout out to Alberto Sandoval, who's he's a good soccer historian for Monterrey for both teams, but he's usually coming up with these on Twitter, so I like to bookmark them. February 11th, 4 years ago, the Great World Cup final versus Bayern Munich, where we lost tragically with a handball from Lewandowski, if you all recall. But that happened 4 years ago.
The game of Carioca's life and the game of Carlos Salcedo's life.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Yeah.
But he also started Charlie Gonzalez. So
The reality is that Carlos Salcedo extended his career in Mexico due to that game.
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
And I think if we would have taken Diente Lopez instead of Charlie Gonzalez,
Oh,
another thing would have been, because Diente Lopez was on fire like prior to that tournament.
And to add controversy to it, Edu Vargas commented on it because he was left out due to COVID, and
He left. Yeah.
yeah, he laughed about it, hinting at the fact that Tuca Ferretti just didn't want to take him, which I wouldn't be surprised.
Yep.
Ferretti has been known for making some very controversial decisions in terms of playing players.
Mm-hmm.
Another from the vault, February 9th, would have been Don Carlos Milok's 93rd birthday. May he rest in peace. El Tanque.
Number
The
two,
only Tanque, because I don't like calling Ibanez Tanque. I'm sorry.
yeah, I call him Nico. Nico. I think if we had anyone with the pulse over Diego Reyes, we go Penzaliz. Jeez, this man just drilling into Diego Reyes and etc. bench players that never get some minutes.
Oh, so great.
All right, one last one, and it actually is relevant since we're facing Leon. But 9 years ago, January 30th, 9 years ago, Guignac had a hat trick versus Leon. It was de local, actually, though, en el Estadio Universitario, and the goalkeeper was William Yarborough.
USMNT legend. Not really.
He had a hat trick. What was the final
Hat
score?
trick against Leon. I'm sorry?
What was the final score?
I don't have the final score, but let me search it real quick.
Yeah, I want to know the lineup of that game too.
Okay.
I want to soak in previous year's success as much as possible because again, zero expectations.
All right, let's see it here. Let's see if I can find it. Lineups. Okay. Nahuel Guzmán, Rivas, Palmera Rivas,
Palmera.
Juninho, Jorge Torres Nilo, Israel Jiménez, Guido Pizarro, Jesús Dueñas, Javier Aquino,
Wow.
Jürgen Damm, which was subbed out for Damián Álvarez, Rafael Sobis, which is subbed out for Lucas Celarayan, and Guignac, who was subbed out for Fernando Fernández.
El queso.
El Quesos.
El queso. Wow.
Solid team. Great team. Great team. Jürgen Damm coming in hot and Javier Aquino starting on the wings. Woo!
Luquitas off the bench, bro. Crazy.
Damián Álvarez coming in still in really good form. Coming in and then
Yeah, I mean, that bench, it was Damián Álvarez and Lucas Celarayan coming off the bench, bro. Like, come on.
Bro, you would throw in Damián Álvarez the last 20 minutes after Aquino constantly beat you up with his back and forth. And then take off Jürgen Damm off the right side, flip Aquino to the right side, and then go at him with Damián Álvarez on the left side. Just magical moments, bro. Magical moments, magical time in the lineups for these players. 2015 was peak, if alongside with 2017, the whole year of like potentially the first chance at the three-peat. But staying on just with the topic of 2015, incredible team. Another great throwback from the vault. Look at him. He's got to be. We got to coin it. He's got to be the official historian of the pod.
I'm down.
We got a stats guy, and Lou with the XGs on Selmy going, speaking
Who's
silently.
Lou? Does he exist?
Yeah,
Dude,
Did he go back to being AI?
Lou's been gone
I
for a
almost
bit.
We love you, Lou.
Just
We
like I
miss you.
have.
Come
we
back.
miss you, Lou, but it's kind of starting to look like you don't want to show up because of your boy Nico, man.
Like to fall on.
But yeah, we got a host, we got a historian, we got a stats guy, we got an outline guy.
We got a producer. Look at us finding our role here on the Lau Times podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, what you got? Let's close it off.
Threedrick got a very recent from the vault moment, which was the Kendrick dance from Linus and Garza the other day, which I thought was very funny. I was very entertained with the video that they put out of them asking the players who was going to win the game, and half of them being like, "What is football?" and half of them being like, "Va ganar Kansas, no manches," like Tapia said, which cracked me up. So I thought that was very interesting. Some of the Super Bowl content they put out. Listener, if you didn't know, the boys are coming back to the States at least 4 times this year. And probably more than that, depending on what happens with Cincinnati next week. My mic is kind of going out. Hopefully that doesn't affect the audio. Um, they will be in Austin at the end of March, the 22nd, I believe, in a friendly against Pumas. I don't know if y'all two are planning to be there. I probably will, to be honest, even though it'll be just fresh off coming from games in Mexico. And then we have a Leagues Cup schedule. We will be playing Houston first at the end of July before we go to California and play new team San Diego on August 1st. And then 4 days later, we get a rematch of our rivalry against LAFC in downtown LA.
Great
I
stadium.
I am
California
very
road trip.
I'm very serious about a road trip. Like very serious about it. So
I'm on a crossroads. I'm going to San Diego next month, so I don't know if I'm willing to go back. And we just went to LAFC this past year. So I'm at a crossroads. I got to convince myself of it.
Then I guess it'll be us young guys then.
come on now.
Yo, but
We got to go back to East LA. We got to go find more taco spots.
I love LA, man. I love going to LA to visit.
Oh,
Yeah,
and I've actually made recently a friend. They just moved from LA to Houston, who happens to be a pitch invader.
oh, wow.
He showed me his video and everything. Like, bro,
Is he a
like
Tigres
back in
fan?
like 2019 or something, in some
Bro,
some
what?
weird Honduras game, he actually invaded the pitch. It was crazy. I'll show it to you guys.
Is he a Tigres fan?
No, he's not a Tigres fan. He's from Central America, but he's from LA. So yeah, if I do go, I'm definitely gonna ask him for reference for good taco spots.
Yeah, I think again, I'm still up in the air. I would love to. I may tag along, but it depends also on my scheduling and what I got going on with my business.
Oh, come on, bro. That's in August. You got 6 months till that happens.
We'll
Come
see.
on now.
We'll see.
Come on now.
I do want to have an episode further along, just talking about the Leagues Cups and breaking down those teams. We'll have a glimpse of the MLS teams by then. Especially I want to zone in on, we know what LAFC is and what they're capable of. We know Dynamo, we played them in the past, but a new team, the San Diego Wave. No, that's a women's
No,
team.
they're just called San Diego FC.
San Diego FC. Yeah, San Diego FC.
With Chucky.
Chucky Lozano. I'd like to do that because I think it's going to be an exciting Leagues Cup, and I like the opponents that we got. I think they're very high-profile matches.
Very marketable.
Yeah, very marketable with the opportunity of San Diego being an expansion team or a new team coming to the MLS, LAFC, and just being from LA and having
French players,
the French players and high-profile players, and then Houston Dynamo, a place where we have a great fan base. So we play on a Tuesday. That's my only drawback on it. I don't know how attendance is going to be. That was a game where the incident, or I guess if you want to call the issue of not people attending the first Leagues Cup last season with Puebla before the Miami game, because most people were looking to go see Messi and buying tickets from the Messi game or the Miami game. and this time around again on a Tuesday. So I think the Houston Dynamo fan base will be there, and I think it'll also be a really good chance for our fan base to show up, especially since we won't get any Texas game until possibly the next round, depending on results.
$10 tickets. We'll make it happen.
Dude,
no $60 tickets. That's how much the Austin friendly is. I'm already upset about that game is already.
I don't think any Leagues Cup ticket's going to be below 30 a pop.
What about that friendly in Austin versus Pumas? Have you checked out the prices?
Yeah, it's at least 60.
Yikes.
At least, yeah. I mean, I'll probably
still
go.
To go.
Yeah, I'll probably still go because I really like Austin. I really like that stadium. And maybe we'll see Lou emerge from the shadows.
For a friendly, it's like.
Yeah, that's
because you got to take into consideration driving in, possibly staying. Even if you drive back, it's still like it's a commitment, and $60 makes it tough. And I think just because it's a friendly, I think that you can still make a good amount of money, even like marketing at $40 at most, but 60 is a stretch, man. Like you're making people really make the choice to stay at home and watch it.
Yeah, Odyssey, Tercero, and Osvi. In the pullback spots. But it also may be one of the last times we see Carioca start.
We gotta win it. We gotta win that. Dude, we gotta win anything that we step into. I think that any chance that we get to win hardware, we gotta win that. And I think that cup eventually is gonna go into 60 bags for Austin versus Pumas. Where's the inflation reduction, Mr. Trump? Oh wow, we're getting political here on the Loud Times Pod. Look at us. I just it's not good for the fan base.
Not good for our wallets. Somebody show the meme that Alfred made with Squidward.
What else you got, Dennis? We done?
Yeah, that's it. That was all the big news.
Yeah. Shorter pod. Still one of the shortest pods we've recorded without Edgar and Lou. Not being funny or all, but you'd have to pay me to watch that. The Leagues Cup. I'm not looking to pay you. Woodsy, you got to watch more of our squad. And you got to understand, just the same way you feel about the whole city and any other team in the European leagues and specifically in the Premier League, you'd understand. Being from Monterrey and being a Tigres fan and reaching the level of success we've reached over the last 10 years to plus years, even stretching to 12 years, then you'd understand that anything that we step into, we gotta make sure that we look to win because we're an important team in Mexico and we've achieved a ton of success and we're here to stay. We just got to find our role and get back to it. Find good players.
I gotta ask Woodsy, have you seen the Tigres documentary? I'm interested because he's got to see it.
I wonder if he has access to that stuff in the British world.
Vix does not pay us to advertise the documentary.
Oh, I see what he's saying.
Oh, the Austin Pumas game.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we were talking about.
We ain't watching that either.
Oh, by the way, if you have T-Mobile like me, you can get the MLS the season pass for free starting tomorrow, which means you can watch Leagues Cup for free this season. So, be like me and get that code.
Shout out T-Mobile. They don't pay us either.
Clutch.
Oh, so he doesn't know about it. Okay, we gotta send him the link. This is important.
Oh, he might have VIX. I think he might have VIX. Send him the link, dog.
I think Lou had shared his VIX account.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
I don't know if you made that public on the live pod.
Hey, he didn't say what it was.
But he should watch it, and then Arnoldo, you should probably invite him and record and ask him after he watches it, his thoughts on it.
Oh, that's a good idea. How about that, Woods? It's been a long time since you've been on the pod. We'll get your story and share with the world of who you are and what you've been up to as of recent. When I discovered that you were a Tigres fan back in the day when I started this pod a couple years ago now.
Across the pond, baby.
Across the pond. Anyways, I think that's it for tonight, fellas. Probably shouldn't share that either. Look at us.
Change his password on him.
All right, guys.
Great
you guys
stuff.
have a great night. Everybody, thanks for tuning in and watching us. I'll definitely be able to post this pod tomorrow, get the audio version. Please share with everybody on the social platforms that we share. And shout out to Edgar and Lou who couldn't join us tonight. Hopefully we can get the full squad later for another episode, soon to be, possibly next week. So cheers, fellas. We'll stay in touch. And thanks, everybody, once again.
Bye-bye.
Stay warm.
Stay
That's
warm.
right, especially if you're in Texas.